What is up, everyone? MarchJig8 here for you guys. Not a news flash, but a quick update to the video that I posted yesterday, particularly around the social distortion story. Now, I want to say that I never imagined that this video would get as many views as quickly as it's gotten them. Like, this has been an incredibly short time frame, and this thing just blew up. I never thought that this, of all videos, would be the thing that, just blows up. But truth be told, I was going to do a double take on this. I was going to take it down today and I was going to redo it. But at this point, there really doesn't seem any point to it. But I do want to get a video out to, reflect on a couple of things. One is I don't like how this video turned out. I didn't like it the moment that I posted it. And I wanted to sit on it to think on it a little bit. And I was just like, no, I don't like what I did here. I made the mistake of not taking the time to really think out whether this video was really meeting my standard of quality that my viewers have come to expect in this channel. I instead went off my anger. I was pissed about the story that I read about Mike Ness and what he did to this fan, and I was even more pissed that I saw this video of him just pounding this fan. And that unfortunately bled over into the video. And right now with the current evidence that is provided, I still stand my ground on belief that Mike Ness isn't the wrong here, and I will continue to do so until more evidence is provided. But I do want to reflect and apologize on a couple of things. So, number one, I made opinion priority over facts, and this was adamant throughout the entire story. My goal and my standard of quality on this channel has always been the opposite of that. Facts should always be priority over opinions, and that should never change. I never should have said things like, who knows who else he beats, or, said that using his head as a drumstick. That was just stupid, and it was dumb, and that was just my anger bleeding over into that video. Number two, not providing a clear picture of the events that happened with all the given details that we know. I unfortunately left out a couple of minor details in the story that I didn't really feel were necessary in order to paint the full narrative, but I do want to strive to provide as much facts as possible to my fan. So moving forward, I will push more towards giving more of the facts and providing less of the opinions. I want to pull that back because I don't want to turn my channel into just a complete bias shitfest. I want to keep it, at least a semi-professional. Semi-professional, and, the fact that I swear every now and then. And, there was one such... we'll just use this for example. One such thing that I left out was that multiple news sources had included another fan who attended the show that claimed that Mike was acting unprofessional at the time, but that, this is the punk culture, which I want to talk about in a little bit after we're done with this. And then for number three, not giving more open floor to the viewers to discuss and interact with the story on. Right now, the full story isn't available. There's enough to construct an interesting narrative around it, but the fact is we don't really know what the band side of things are here, and because they haven't released a comment on the situation yet. I mean, it could turn out this guy was groping a female in the audience, and that's why Mike beat the shit out of him and had him thrown out. And if that's the case, then I'm going to have to it's going to bite me in the ass. But being closed-minded towards the situation means I close out my viewers' thoughts and opinions, and that's something that I never want to do. You guys are more than welcome to come and share your opinions and your perspectives on the stories, and I don't delete stuff unless they're absurdly cruel and off topic. And I hear you guys. I hear you in the comment sections of the video, because here's the truth. I love hearing your guys' side of things. I love allowing people to include their own perspectives in order to allow me to either build my perspective or to change my perspective on things. I honestly feel that's how we as human beings progress in this world. And I apologize that I didn't do more to provide that open floor for you guys. Now, there is one more thing I want to talk about, and this is to the people who say I don't know anything about the punk community. I know there's a number of you. I read your comments and I see your dislike. Guys, okay? You're literally on a channel that has been dedicated to punk from basically the moment I started posting videos back in 2011. I mean, you could go as far as 2010 if you wanted to and count my very first videos I ever posted, which were 2 top 10 lists for gaming songs, which were primarily hard rock and punk songs, and then there's a stupid prom video that I decided to put together because I was bored. But 450 videos later, and the entire premise of this channel is still primarily focused on the punk community. It always has been, and it always will be. The reason for that is because I absolutely love the punk community. It has been my home for many, many years. Okay? The punk community, as far as I know, is one of the most welcoming groups in all of the music communities. I would not be speaking so highly of this group if they weren't. They are the kind of people who will look out for each other. They are the kind of people who will pick up somebody who has fallen down. They are the kind of people who will tell you guys to take care of one another. That is what I know the punk community to be. I also know the punk community to be the kind of people who don't take kindly to shit being thrown at them. They don't want to be constricted to the rules of the man or society, and they sure as hell do not want to be disrespected. They want to go and they want to have a good fucking time. Which is why I love this community. This is why it's one of the best communities out there. Now, that seems to be the primary defense of when people talk about Mike Ness attacking this fan. That seems to be the go-to situation. They say that violence has been associated with the punk community for years, which, yeah, it basically has been. It's built into punk's DNA. I mean, back in the late 70s, you had Sex Pistols basically cutting themselves up and slapping audience members, and you had Iggy Pop threatening and even peeing on audience members. So, yes, violence is very much associated with the punk community. It always has been. But that doesn't change my perspective that this seems to be a much more targeted attack than pretty much anything I've ever seen out of the punk community. Now, I can't say that I've experienced everything, but most of the violence that I'm used to coming from the scene is either people getting carried away with having a good time, defensive violence, or even instinctual violence, where you'll have like a front man flipping shit on audience member for groping a female attendee. All of this stuff makes sense to me. All of this is stuff that I'm used to in the punk scene, and all of it is stuff I don't make a big deal about. You know, I might make a big deal about the instinctual violence, but I'm generally in the support of the band member, because generally when a band member is going after somebody who, you know, did something egregiously wrong to somebody else at a concert, you know, I'm kind of like, yeah, no, they deserve that. But I can't say that I'm used to seeing an attack on somebody who, by every report that I've read so far, was just silently protesting with putting his middle finger in the air because he disagreed with the political messages of the band, but wasn't messing with anyone. That's the key part right there. He wasn't messing with anyone, according to these reports. Now, there are people claiming that he was heckling the band, I think, and I do want to hear more with people who are making these kind of claims and where they're getting this from. Are they getting this from him when he told Mike that, you know, he paid to see his music, not his politics? In which case, I don't really consider that heckling, because at that point, Mike had already called him over. I don't. Are they considering him holding up his middle finger to be considered heckling? Because I don't really consider that. I could consider that more of a criticism or even a protest. I don't know. But what I do know is that if this is the whole story, then we do have to find a way to justify someone being targeted for their political beliefs. And I honestly can't find one. I know that people have said that Mike Ness is not the most mentally stable individual, but honestly, just saying that's just Mike isn't cutting it for me, and I don't think it's going to cut it for a lot of people. I do want to hear more details on the story, particularly what the band has to say, but I also want to reach out to you guys and hear your perspectives on this entire thing. To me, this is a very complicated situation with a lot of divided opinions on the matter, and I do want to take the time to acknowledge that, because I failed to do that in the last video, and I am sorry to those people that felt like they were being targeted and they didn't feel like they weren't able to express their perspective, you know. I want to allow people to speak their minds, and I want them to share how they see things here, because you sharing how you see things here helps me understand where you're coming from in this perspective. I mean, have you experienced different things in regards to the punk community? And if so, share down below and let me know. Give me an idea of where you're coming from this whole thing, because right now this is a very complicated situation, guys. I was not expecting a second video to be made about this. All right, guys. Thank you very much for watching this. I'll see you all in the next one. Mars out.